This conference will now be recorded.
Hello, this is Novo Mana, and this is the Technology Review Council session. And we have joining us today Mike Chuzov, who is actually in Russia, broadcasting from there about 10 o'clock his time. Thank you, Mike, for being so kind and joining us here. And again, we're very, very pleased to be seeing and getting a presentation from Mike on Digi.Gift. So, Mike, I'm going to turn it over to you, and let's go through the process.
Yeah, thank you, Noel. Hi to everybody. It's nice to be here today. Just sorry because as we realized with Noel, there is some delay in my audio stream, so it could be some difficulties, but I believe it's going to be okay. So let's start. Let's start from the brief introduction of myself and my partner who also joined this call. My name is Mike, and I'm founder and CEO of Digi.Gift startup. So actually, I got the finance background, and last decade worked at C-level positions in finance. And that's exactly the time the idea of Digi.Gift was born, because I worked with lots of stuff, with lots of people, and realized how difficult it to make people engaged, to make people motivated, to keep the retention at a high level. So let's start. Digi.Gift B2B machine learning powered SaaS solution that helps HR to include subscriptions for digital services as modern and demanding for each employee.
Mike, I hate to ask you, it sounds like
modern trends in HR are...
Mike, I'm sorry. It sounds like you may not be coming through quite as clear, and it's not so much the lag. I think you stepped a little bit further away from the mic. If you get a little closer, that might be better. I think the clarity is going to be a little better. Sorry about that.
1, 2, 3.
Perfect.
1, 2, 3. Do you hear me?
Much closer. Much better. Thanks.
Okay. So let's go further. Modern trends in HR are connected with employees' engagement, loyalty, and retention. This is the reason why HR and leading companies search for new ways to build places where their employees love to work. And one of the most effective solutions is perks and rewards. We know that all employees are different. Therefore, HR needs a simple way to know employees' modern preferences and get relevant output of perks. So, we believe that we found the simple way to add a new type of not expensive perk with high output for employers, to provide digital subscriptions as employee perks. During employees' communication with our chatbot, the system analyzes the interests of employees and makes conclusions regarding the subscriptions that would be the most relevant for each member of your team. So, as a result, you get the following advantages from our service: modern digital type of perk, matched with the employee's needs; reduced perk administration, no logistics. It's very easy access to perk, very convenient for remote work and for remote subsidiaries of your companies. And what I love the most, that it's kind of a behavior thing. Even out of work, even out of working time, at home or in gym or on vacation, your employee will be thankful to your company for this interesting perk. So all of those leads to a substantial increase in employee loyalty, engagement, and retention, and as I mentioned, with relatively low cost of perk. Let's go back to our website. So again, we offer you to include personalized subscriptions for digital services for each employee, included into the compensation and benefits package, KPI reward package, or gift campaign, and get high output at a reasonable cost. The solution, what I like the most, the solution is easy to use and implement. I will show you a bit later. It doesn't require any time-consuming integrations in existing software and processes. So now it's time to show how it works in reality. So here we are at the Digi.Gift website, and let's sign up HR account. So sign up, name to its email address. Yes.
And Mike, as you're logging in, like I said, this becomes a very interactive session. So this is mobile capable as well, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, actually, it's this solution doesn't require integration, as I mentioned. It's all in web interface, and we do not have yet the app, but it's not really needed this. So as you see, the now in a so-called HR personal account, each HR manager, HR director, HR leader can manage the digital Turk campaign. So there are four main steps to work in this. Yeah.
I don't think there's a question, Michael. Go ahead. Sorry.
Sorry.
Oh yeah. Okay. So there are four main steps to work, just 4 steps to work in this personal account. First step, you need to upload your employees in personal account. So you need to upload the name of employee, the position of employee, and email of employee, maybe birthday, and maybe some social networks if allowed by employee. So then you upload the information regarding your employee. You can make it for each. You can make the upload from your ERP system using CSV list, so Excel file. The second step, then you uploaded the list of your employees. You want to understand what are the preferences, what are the interests of employees, and what perks would be relevant for each of the employee. So you just send this to your employee. You can send to each particular employee, or you can send to all employees. Then your employee receive this kind of email. So this email was generated to make congrats to my partner Sergey with his birthday, which was in February. So when Sergey receives this mail, he just simply clicks the button. For example, Sergey is your employee, and just directly from the email, the employee is redirected to our chatbot quiz page. So as I mentioned, the selection of digital subscriptions is based on the evaluation of employees' interests using chatbot and analysis of social network if allowed. So let's move through chatbot with just click a button, and here is our chatbot. Let's try to play with it. Hello, I'm Digi.Gift bot. Are you ready for quiz? Yes, let's do it. So here is the demo chat bot, and the number of questions is limited for sure, but we will go through it, and you will understand the logic of work. So excellent. Let's start. What is your name? My name is Sergey, for example. Okay. Thank you. Please type your corporate email. Just don't spend too much time. What is your gender? Male. So, and here's the questionnaire side. So, which car magazine comes to first? For example, I don't know. Maybe Sergey doesn't like car magazines. I don't know. Xbox or PlayStation? Xbox for sure. It's my love. What's your favorite video game? Let's set it. Uh, I don't know. Maybe it's NHL hockey. Last season of Game of Thrones was wow. Yeah, exactly. It was really great. I don't know. Do you like the uh, movies of HBO? But I like it. So, what other series do you like? Oh, I'm startupper. That's why I like Silicon Valley for sure. What kind of music do you prefer? Yeah, I'm a rock fan. Cool. Your favorite singer or band is I don't know. It's actually lots of them.
Mhm.
Do you prepare paper or audio books? I'd say I have you taken any educational courses this year? No, I didn't take it, but I like to. Thank you. It was great to talk with you. So here is the decision for you. For me, it was great. Yeah, that's all. Yeah. So that's
Mike,
how their yes, no.
yeah, I was going to say, if you don't mind, we'll take a couple of questions. I know I have one, but anyone in the audience have a question about the chatbot? Okay, well, let me start.
Yeah.
That usually is what that starts the small landslide around here. So, so the chatbot that you took us through, is that set of questions something that you have created, or is it something that a client could direct? And there's kind of a reasoning behind that, but I'm curious how flexible is that chatbot?
Actually, the questions by ourselves, by our team, and it's these questions are linked to our artificial intelligence machine, to
Mm-hmm.
machine learning analysis. And these questions in further steps, as I mentioned, we are at an early stage, but we are working closely now with some psychologists. These questions will be presented, provided by scientists, psychologists for better analysis of employees' interests. So from our point of view, this chatbot is flexible for sure, and the questions wouldn't be the same, but it's not there's no the opportunity for employer to change these questions. Maybe if employer maybe doesn't want some questions to be included in the chatbot because employer believe that it's going to be not very nice for the employees, we could change it, but by default it's not without any involvement of employer.
Okay, no, that's a legitimate answer, if you would. Um, I'm also kind of curious, as you mentioned, we need to load our employee information up to Digi.Gift's site, which is fine. That I think is pretty standard stuff these days. Um, the question I have though are some of the early questions that I saw raises a little bit of a question around the privacy of the information, things like gender and so on. How is that used within your AI in terms of maybe delineating who I am as an individual? Is there particular subscriptions that are you looking for something that says, oh, by the way, most of the guys seem to like the car magazines, and that's really a stereotype, so I apologize to the audience. But my question is, are you using those parameters to validate something or look at trends in general?
Maybe you just a bit clarify
Okay,
what you mean, because I'm a bit
I come in there and I say, I've got a choice, and it asks me if I'm male. So it's now going to start asking me a couple of questions that might be geared
Hmm.
with a more stereotype about what a male might want. But I say, hey, I thought we had and we see this all the time, so but I'm trying to remember the football player. I like knitting. I do that. It's a therapy for me. How do I get to the knitting magazine subscription or something, or things like that? So my concern is, and I say that not a concern per se, but to say, ask the question, you don't want to put a box around a person, certainly not in this day and age. You really want to kind of a very open-ended perspective of what I can choose without being guided down the road. So that's what my question is: how much guidance is your AI doing by taking the answers to my questions and pushing me down a road versus showing me the world of what I can do and let me make my choices from that?
Now, actually, your question is the answer to your question, uh, because
You're starting to sound like the chatbot. No.
yeah,
Well,
yeah, because
go ahead. I'm sorry.
the main idea of this SaaS solution is that uh, it's not your decision as an employer or employee what you receive as a perk. So it will be decided by the special machine. It will be decided by artificial intelligence without any any connections between that. If you're male, you like care magazines, or if you're female, you like, I don't know, shopping, and that's all. No, there are no stereotypes. The machine learning excludes everything and make lots of variation of this for analysis. So that's why the answer for your question is in the question.
Okay, gotcha. No, that like I say, I'm learning. I'm
So
learning.
yeah, yeah.
So let me ask the audience again before we leave this to go to another part. Any questions for Mike or Sergi with regards to what we're seeing in terms of the chatbot and the entrance into this idea of the Digi.Gift subscriptions?
Yeah, no, this is Jennifer. I am curious. It asked early on for inputs about my social streams. And to build on Nov's question around privacy, I might not be comfortable putting my Instagram or my Facebook because let's say I'm not heteronormative. Let's say I'm not out at work. And does the let's say the Digi.Gift ends up giving me a subscription to something I don't want my employer to know that I actually like. You see where I'm going with that? Like
Very good
it
point. Yeah. Again, it was kind of I want to say the right side of my question, if you will. It
yeah.
says, show me the world of what I can have and let me make my choices. But there, I'm gonna defend Mike in one sense and said, if you go to Netflix and I say I watched XYZ, it's going to tell me everybody else who watched that and also liked these other things. So it's not necessarily to put us in the box per se, but I'm curious, Mike, how you see this, because I think Jennifer's question is right on as well for the social media perspectives.
And this is Scott
Now,
Cecil.
yeah.
Oh, go ahead, Scott.
If I could just add to that, which is while Netflix is going to make a recommendation for you, you are not being offered this as Netflix through your employer. So the connection to the employer is where things get a little hazy, and where is there a separation? Where is the data stored? What access does the employer have to that data? And how does this represent the employer or create an improper perception? That's really where I think we're going.
So I think, Mike, I know that you'll eventually get to the organization's dashboard, if you will. In other words, what do I see as an employer in terms of what my people are using for the Digi.Gift? And so I see, Scott, I think I'll hold that question if you don't mind. We'll let Mike go through the rest of this, but I think it's an important one, and it's like I say, it's the rest of this stuff. But if you go back to Jennifer's question and answer that, Mike, that'd be great. And I told you were going to get a lot of questions. So here we go.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, let's start from answering for Jennifer's question. If I'm not mistaken, the first point was regarding the social networks, for example. Yeah, if we see, for example, Alex Richards, head of sales, here is the link to Facebook or Instagram or LinkedIn. But this is not mandatory, as I mentioned. The links to social networks could be included if employee wants to include them here, if employee allows us to use these links for better analysis of the interest, because for sure some social networks will help to make better analysis for our machine learning solution. But it's not mandatory, and you just use sorry sorry.
That's all right.
You just communicate with our chatbot. Yeah, and based on the communication with chatbot, the system makes let me go. The system makes recommendations. So like here it is, Alex Richards. Films, movies, 84% of his interest, music just 6%, education 10%. Based on that, the system to give him the YouTube music, for example, or for the whole marketing department, because all of them like movies, they propose to give them Netflix. And even without access to social networks, because we understand that the Big Brother is watching us, the chatbot helps to understand the interests of employees. So, and this information we receive through the communication with chatbot, the name, second name, the gender, etc. It's not distributed to any third-party provider, so it's used only just for analysis of interest and for making this simple graph with the interest, dancing, coding, drawing, tech, auto, education, music, games. That's all. That's all.
And to Scott's question,
there was a second question, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, yeah, I think Scott's question about what the employer would see, how much of an insight to that information that the employee has provided. Maybe I put in my Facebook page. Now, in all of this process, the employer doesn't know I even have a Facebook page, for whatever it's worth. And so as a result of that, we're asking here, does the employer have access to this or sees any dimension of this at an individual level?
No, it's actually it depends. It depends on their on the terms with the company. So if employer agrees with the employees that he could put the links to social networks and he can use it just to go to the social network, it's okay. If the employer and employees refuse providing the links to social networks, that's also okay. So for us, as I mentioned, social networks just we shouldn't pay too much attention to reporting tool. So we even shouldn't attention to social network. If it won't be any social network here, that's okay. That's no problem.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Right. Yeah, but and
so
I,
the
I
system
think
will provide the analysis based.
And I think the only difference, Mike, from what we experience sometimes here in the States is that there is a question. The more we get out of, shall we say, an employee in terms of their personal information, there's a really fine line between that being used, let's say, for wellness programs. Even let's monitor Nove on how he's doing on his wellness programs. The question is that stuff that the employer should be seeing at all? And so if you've not necessarily encountered that, I would say coming into the United States, that's going to be a question. It's very possible that I won't even go down the legal aspect, but more along the lines of it should be spelled out in any announcement of the this product, if you will, that we as an employer will not see this data. It's only gathered, or we will be seeing it, and let's make sure that you understand that you can opt in or opt out for that. So I'll leave it to this audience too to if you will, give you their perspective, because they are the ones that would be using this. And we can come back to that at the later part of this if we want to as well. But let's go forward with your demo. Let's. I apologize. We this is going to take that hour I told you. Let's go forward with it.
Okay. But actually, as I mentioned in the beginning of my pitch, that the system is really very easy. And now just let's make some summary of what's going on with the system, and the summary of the 4 main steps. So the step number, the employer upload the information regarding the employees: name, second name, position, email address, and if allowed, I emphasize it, if allowed, the links to social networks. The step number 2, after the send quiz button, the employee receives the email and just simply click the button and redirect it to the chatbot. Just make the quiz with chatbot, and results of the quiz are reflected here in the graphs, and here the proposition of the perks your employee or departments will receive. Step number 3, your HR department sets their guidelines. First of all, it's budget of the gift, because you can make the not gift perk, sorry, you can make the perk, for example, monthly for $30 or $20. It depends on your budget for sure. So your HR sets the guideline here for the budget and for the dates. For example, if this is going to be the just a gift for a birthday, you just select the date. If it's going to be the regular monthly perk, you also select the date. That's all. And the step number 4, the system makes the automated email. It's going to be branded with your company name. It's going to be with the name of your employee and with the gift, and simply just click the active button. That's all. What I want to mention, and I want to put your attention that the first part is the selection of the perk. The second part is the distribution, delivery, because we do not provide just half of the service. We provide the same service, and you as a company who use our services just agree the new modern digital perk campaign, and after their assessment of employees' interests, the perks will also be delivered. So we take all the work with cooperation with the providers of digital subscription with Netflix, YouTube, etc. So there are lots of subscriptions, as you know. And what I also want to mention, you have the reporting here, so the total budget, remaining budget, some reports with the perks provided to employees, invoices, etc.
Okay.
So, and I believe yeah.
I was going to say, let me, if you don't mind, maybe we'll pause here for a moment. So now we're seeing what the company is seeing in terms of their dashboard. Folks in the audience, any particular questions, perspectives? I always have questions. I'm sorry. Mike, what I'm seeing here, and I'll say it from this standpoint. I know that you're still in development in lots of places, so I am seeing in some cases in the drop downs Cyrillic letters. Are you truly global and multilingual at this point for the screens that you have?
Actually, we are, our market is US,
Okay.
and our main language is English. So yeah, we start just from English and from US market.
Okay.
But yeah, that decision is global for sure.
Okay. The reason I say that is I look at the invoices boxes here, and that is, I couldn't read them if I had to. I'm not sure what they say, but that might be. I won't say it's a detriment per se. There's a value to the product, but I think when doing a demonstration, and this is a safe ground in which to do it, we probably would say, gee, I think you really need to kind of clean up that screen a little bit to make sure it's all in English. I'm not sure what those mean. The symbol looks like
Yeah,
an
yeah,
invoice,
yeah,
but I'm not
yeah.
sure. The other thing is, so I can set aside a budget, and it's being shown as remaining budget of what has not been used in subscriptions. Are those subscriptions that have not been activated, or that's budget left for me to pass out in subscriptions? Because there would be a small synchronization problem if I've granted a subscription, but somebody hasn't activated it. So I'm not sure
No,
exactly.
actually,
Good. I'm sorry.
so there are different information you can see here, but regarding the total budget and remaining budget, for example, you can use your money not only for perks, for regular monthly perks, but for example for some perks or some gifts for reaching some KPIs, etc. And you deposit the amount of your budget here, and you see how much of this budget is utilized. Also, for example, you can make the deposit for their number of, I don't know, 50 employees, but in couple of months you realize that you fired 30% of these people, and for sure not all this budget will be utilized. That's the
Mhm.
logic.
Okay. Yeah, because I see right here on this screen that I have a difference of $2,600. My question is, have I granted $2,600 worth of subscriptions, whether it's been activated or not, or are these the remaining budgets because some people haven't activated it, but it might go down the moment they activate it? That's kind of, I'll put my very limited financial hat on and say that would drive me crazy as a CFO to not quite know which is which in that situation. But I suspect it's really, I've given this much out in subscriptions, whether it's activated or not. Okay. Did that make any sense?
Yeah, I get it.
Okay, got it. I'm not quite sure that I'm
Yeah.
explaining it well, but yeah, got it. Okay, let's go on to the next set of slides you've got, or on the demo side.
No, and actually, that's all. That the system is pretty simple, how it looks like. So just four steps, and you get the subscription. For sure, I want to mention that now we are launching pilot projects, as we talked a few before. North, they are early stage, so they're starting our sales with our early adopters, and for sure during the pilot stage the system will not be 100% automated. We will use some CSV spreadsheet, emails, and simple web interface, but this will not affect the global functionality of the service output. So just to be clear, and just to show the whole picture, the pilot project will not be 100% automatic. And what are we going right now? As I mentioned, we are launching pilot projects with free trial period. You can go to our web page, Digi.Gift, and see it here. So here you can also find some videos about our service, our blog with the selfie of our service. It's the manual with some guidelines into digital perks. how we make our first case. We are also going to launch the research of for effectiveness of benefits and perks very soon. I believe we will launch it next week or the week after. And here is also our story. So that's actually all about Digi.Gift.
Okay. So as you were showing that picture there, are those the current subscriptions that you're offering? Or I'm sure you're constantly adding to those subscriptions, but it looked like you had a couple of, maybe it would be, if you don't mind going back to that screen that was showing the subscriptions.
No, actually, it's just a screen. There are different types of subscriptions, and it depends on the type of subscriptions are really discussable with the employer, with the company.
Okay.
Because, for example, if you have the budget of $10 per month, you couldn't afford to provide to your employees, for example, Netflix, but you could afford to provide to your employees some other video streaming services.
Gotcha.
So there are lots of them, and
Gotcha.
that's really
So really, there's no limitations.
case.
If I've got the budget, you can get us the subscription, just place it into your product to be able to do that. So I do have a couple of questions, but let me open it again back to the audience. Yeah, let me by the way, I like your offer. And I'll give you an offer right back that says, if you're going to do a survey, if you will mail me the survey, I will send it out along with the video to the entire Technology Review Council, and so you get some further input. But I want people that didn't see this video or didn't attend the session to see the video first before they answer your survey. But we'll get you some more data on that. Folks, any general questions that you have for both Mike or Sergey? Okay, well, I always have something. Go ahead, please, go ahead.
Yeah, so this is Scott Cecil. So what is your value proposition? How do you differentiate yourself from other vendors in the marketplace like PerkSpot?
Now, actually, the main just a second. The main value proposition that we provide the personalized. Sorry. Position that they provide you the perk that exactly match with your employees' needs, because if you decide to provide to your employees, for example, I don't know, gym allowance, not all employees like gym. Or if you decide to provide your employees just coffee in the office, not all employees like coffee. But here you provide the employees exactly what we need, exactly what we want, and the price of this perk is low compared to current perks you have on the market. Plus, it's easy. It's easy.
So ease of use and such, yeah. So from the standpoint of again, it's back to an amount that I'm willing to spend, which has some periodicity on how long the subscription lasts. So I guess somewhere in your stats, you're going to tell me as an employer, not only how are people spending their money, i.e., which subscriptions they're going for, or at least at some macro level, gym memberships versus magazine versus movies and films versus education or whatever. So you really could you move quickly enough that if I said I want to have my employees have a subscription to I don't know, a courseware library, something from Pluralsight or something like that. You can accommodate pretty much any of all the subscription type services that are out there. Mike, are you still with us?
So
yeah. So in other words, there's a lot of courseware libraries
you
and things that I want to, not just certain movies and Netflix and so on, but I want to grow my skill set. So I want to go take a coding class on Python or something like that, and they've got some online courses to do that. Could I, as an employer, ask you to make those connections to those kind of subscription services?
Yes, for sure, but you have to understand that you as an employer for sure understand the needs of your employees.
Uh-huh.
But our chatbot make more deeper analysis of the interests of your employees, and maybe if you believe that your employees want to participate in in coding courses is not the right idea. Maybe your employees need to participate in marketing courses or in some other courses, and
Right.
this machine learning chatbot will help you to realize it.
So I'm going to ask a tough question, because to tell you the truth, it's kind of a chicken and egg question. I, as an employer, don't really know what my employees want. And you've got a set of subscriptions. So I guess I could say, well, let me experiment with the subscriptions you have in place. But how do I find out that my subscriptions, or if you will, Digi.Gift subscriptions, are not fitting my employees very well? They have interest beyond what you are offering. So again, I come back to that chat bot. If the chat bot is asking me, Nov, do you like films? No. Do you like to read ebooks? No. How do I get to the fact that Nov really wants a course on marketing, like you said? How do you as a vendor, through your chatbot, find that I'm not offering the right subscriptions? And how do I, as an employer, recognize that and ask you to please get that subscription?
So actually, I'll try to answer. First of all, there are no simple questions from chatbot. So
Hmm.
it's not kind of do like movies. It's not do like music. Yeah, the questions are um, more interesting and not direct. That's why there is an interesting communication with chatbot, and analysis is deep. But
Hmm.
for sure, the interests of employees are changing.
Yes.
And for example, I don't know, in second quarter of 2020, I don't know, the wife of one of your employees delivered a baby, and now all of their interest is regarding the babies. That's why the interest changed, and now they, I don't know, need the subscription for some services providing their, I don't know, information regarding the little babies, or
Right.
for example, next month your sales rep got the bonus and bought the wonderful motorbike. So his interest changed, and now he wants I don't know subscription for very loud and rock music because he likes to ride his bike. That's why you as an employer could agree with us the regular review of the interests of your employees and regular change of subscriptions for sure. So, for example, each quarter or biennial or annual, it depends on your needs.
Hmm. Okay. Good deal. And I'll mention it, shall we say, in a kind of a general altruistic fashion. I love the fact that Digi.Gift could be used with the return. Let's put it this way: when all the smoke clears, the dust settles, however you want to put it, after this pandemic situation, to reward people who stayed with the employer, or maybe in a sense worked real hard and under very tough conditions, or working from home. This is a nice little perk to give to those employees as a reward. And yeah, it could be a one-time shot, but it's a great way to do it. And you've got the 3 months for the pilot, so that's a really kind of a good timing situation, I think. Or maybe even do it right now for the people that are kind of working from home and I can't afford Netflix, and you just gave me the opportunity to watch Netflix when I'm not working. So I think you're on a nice, shall we say, a nice path, personally. Folks, any further questions that you have for Mike in terms of perspective, or any comments in general about the relevancy and the use and all that other stuff?
So this is Scott Cecil. I have a couple of questions.
Sure.
A couple of them are quasi-technical, and it has to go with, so I'm expecting that we're going to feed data from our source system, from our HR system, over to Digi.Gift. Are those expected to be flat files? Are you envisioning XML messages to be sent across? And what kind of encryption? Are you supporting PGP?
Scott, thank you for the question. Actually, there are different ways of receiving the data from HR or from your ERP system. It could be, just a simple Excel or CSV file in different format. So we do not need too much information. As I mentioned, it's actually name, second name, and email address, maybe the name of department, and the date of birthday. That's all. So the second way of receiving the data is also the communication with our chatbot, but the chatbot, the second type of chatbot, just for HR department. So HR department communicate with chatbot, just upload the information to chatbot. That's all. Regarding the deeper technical question you answered me, the securitization or something like this, I couldn't answer you right now because I need to talk to my head of development, and I can come back to you later.
Okay. Yeah, Mike, if you've got my email, if you've got an answer, just go ahead and do that. I'll publish that out and certainly get to Scott as well.
And then the last question would be
Okay.
around your SOC documentation. So you're going to be holding some of our employee data potentially, and so are you in the process of establishing your operating controls and having those audited? And I guess the last question I'm going to tag on to that: where's your data center located?
So the data is is located on the cloud servers, and it's secured and encrypted, and this data is not submitted to any other third parties. It's just for the just just to let the chatbot to know how to communicate with your employees, and to store the data about the interest of each particular employee. But now we are working on separating the name from the interest. So we are trying to kill the link between these two data, because between these two data slots, and to disconnect it to make it more secure.
And I'm going to tag on a little bit of comment that came through on the chat box, not the chat bot, from Jennifer about things around the data privacy and so on. Might be something you want to put in the contents of your deck here as well, in terms of how do you secure the data. I think that's becoming a growing concern. And Scott, thank you for asking the question, because I think as we see more and more vendors asking for holding and watching our data spreading across all the vendors now. Suddenly I used to have it in one system called HCM. Now I've got it all over the place, because that's the key to finding me. How do we protect all that? Because the employer is going to be one of the people highly responsible for ensuring that privacy is protected. So that, I guess suggestions, Sergey and Mike, to kind of address that in your deck as you go forward, as to how do you secure your stuff, because you are capturing some pretty good stuff, if you will. I think if people understand the opt-in,
Mhm.
opt-out aspect of it, and that you're very secure, it may very well ease the concerns that were expressed earlier about giving you the links of where I reside on my LinkedIn, my Facebook, my Instagram, for Twitter, all the other things I do that gives you insight from your AI standpoint as to who I am, kind of where my preferences would be. And I think you're also taking on a mound of data that would be pretty interesting for, shall we say, surveys that says, hey, by the way, through the world of Digi.Gift, we are watching people's interests, um, like right now, probably Prime Video, Netflix, Hulu, whatever, is going to be high on the list. Why? Because we're all stuck at home. When things change up, that might shift, and it could be very interesting and perhaps even insightful data that you'll be sought out for in terms of people's preferences. If I had where would I go spend my time if I had free time? Things of that nature. So again, I think you're on a very nice path. I think
Yeah,
hopefully
exactly.
we've given you some insights on some other things. We'd love to have you come back when you've got a couple of use cases under your belt as well, hopefully from our Technology Review Council people who liked your trial, and that we would use it. And we'd love to have you come back and give us an update on both the product and maybe the usage. What are you seeing out there? I love the fact that you do recognize and you lead with that. This is a perk, and perks are very welcome these days. So, any other questions, folks? If not, Mike and Sergey, thank you very much for your time. Thanks for your ideas. Thanks for the product. And to the group out there, again, thank you very much for your continuing support. And we'll see you in the near future. Take care. Thanks, everyone.